Sarah puzzled. "This is Jeremy," the message had said, "from Coach Bobby's class." Jeremy. Jeremy. Who the hell was Jeremy? Hi, I'm Neil A. Yeager, and today I'm reading from my novel, Non-Hollywood. By the way, the song that you hear at the beginning and end of these videos is called No More Me Letting Me Down, from a band that I've been involved with for a long time, Casual Rebels. You can hear more from Casual Rebels on Spotify, or iTunes, or Bandcamp, wherever you go to hear music online. This is chapter 28, Not Really an Actor. Jeremy's message said that he was in Sarah's acting class, but was he the guy who played the circuit board in the condom making machine? Or was he the guy who sobbed his way through that really uncomfortably strange reading of Blanche Dubois from A Streetcar Named Desire? "I was wondering," the voice continued, "if we could talk. I am finally putting my shoot together, and I was so impressed with the scene you performed in class that I would like for you to be in my film." Jeremy, right! Now she remembered. Jeremy was this little shy guy who kept performing scenes that he had written, claiming that he was weaving the individual scenes into one script a la Good Will Hunting. Jeremy. His scenes were actually not badly written, they were just badly acted. Matt Damon, he was not. "So, I'm not really an actor," Jeremy said as he and Sarah sat in the comfy seats of the coffee shop on Highland Avenue. This was a statement that surprised Sarah not in the least. "I am really a writer-director. That is my goal. I am attending the class for two reasons. One, I feel that if I am going to direct actors, then I need to know what the acting process is like. I need to communicate to actors in their own vernacular. Two, I felt that acting class might perhaps be a good place in which to meet actors with whom I might wish to work." Sarah noticed that Jeremy had an odd way of speaking. It wasn't actually an accent, but instead it was some strange affectation which she assumed he had invented under the impression that it made him sound unique and thoughtful, but what it probably made him was terminally dateless. Sarah said, "Well, meeting actors in an acting class sounds like an excellent plan. Thank you. I very much feel that the pieces I write are very much actors' pieces." Great. "I cannot imagine myself, even if I had access to those obscenely large Hollywood budgets, I still could not imagine myself writing that sort of spectacle-based drivel. Films should be, well, fiction in general should be, but most definitely films should be about the characters, about their philosophies, about their struggles, about their souls, if you will." "I will," said Sarah. "Yes," Jeremy continued, "I had a feeling, an entertained hope, that we would be, as they say, simpatico on that point. Honestly, I think that there are only a few individuals in Coach Bobby's class with even a modicum of talent. You, of course, are one of them. The rest, I truly believe that many of the rest of them are simply wasting their money on that class. But, back to my point, I believe in really delving deeply into a character. I believe that characters should be turned inside out, their very innards exposed to the light." Sarah jumped in. "Oh, so you're making a horror film? With the innards and all." Jeremy chuckled, though Sarah thought for a moment that she maybe noticed a hint of condescension in that chuckle. Jeremy continued, "Well, let us hope that it does not turn out to be so. Regardless, I truly feel that I write the sorts of characters that actors can really sink their teeth into, as it were." Sarah controlled the impulse to respond, "It were." Instead, she said, "That's great. Any role that you can really dig into is great." "Yes," he responded, "I do believe so. Actors, it seems to me, derive gratification from plumbing emotional depths. I noticed, for instance, that those in class seemed envious that you were to portray a suicide. Along those lines, the part I envisioned for you is a young woman who is the death definition of complexity. I've not completed writing this character, but I do see her as running the gamut of human emotions. Sarah leaned back in her comfy chair. She was liking this. The guy may talk a bit funny, but she really liked his ideas. She said, "Well, so far I like it." "Good," he replied, "because I need an actor for this role who is both competent and confident. You strike me as a confident actor." Confident wasn't really a word that Sarah usually associated with herself, but hey, what the hell? If she could act, then she could act confident, right? And just to prove the point, she confidently took a swig of her coffee. "And," Jeremy continued, "you will need that confidence, as I am envisioning for your character a very intense monologue delivered entirely in the nude." Sarah coughed up her coffee. "What?" she sputtered. "A very intense monologue, extraordinarily intense, and performing it in the nude would simply push the intensity level even further." "Oh, I'm sure it would," she said, "but I'm really not one for that kind of thing." "You're hesitant about nudity." "Hesitant? I think it's more along the lines of, no friggin' way." Jeremy continued, "There should be no shame in nudity. It is our most natural state." "Uh-huh. Look around this room, Jeremy. Do you see anyone in their most natural state?" Jeremy paused and looked at her thoughtfully. He pondered her. Then his eyes went quite noticeably down to her breasts. He said, "You should not be ashamed. You have a very nice figure." Sarah put her hands over her eyes and began to laugh. A nice figure. God. First, she has one guy who thinks she's too ugly to deserve a name, and now another who wants her naked. Why was it she wanted to be in this business again? "Look," she said, I understand what you're saying, but I can't do that. I'm flattered that you'd like me in this part, but if it absolutely has to be nude, I just can't do it." "But the intensity, Sarah." I'm sure. Yes, but I can't." "I see. Well, I admit that I am at a crossroads then. I would like you in this part, but I also feel that a writer-director is an artist, and that an artist should not compromise his vision." "In this town?" she blurted out before she could stop herself. "Yes, well," he began, then paused. A long, awkward pause. After which he stood up and said, "Well, I thank you for your time, Sarah, and I look forward to your next performance in class." And with that, he walked across the room and out the door without so much as a glance back at her.